I don't really like the Libertines, but now I'm having a musical crisis because I really enjoyed their new album, All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade. Is there something wrong with me? Let's find out on this edition of Rock Album Review. Hey everybody, it's Nick here with you. Welcome back to the channel. All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade is the Libertines' fourth studio album. Only four? They've been around so long. It's the follow-up to 2015's Anthem for Doomed Youth. And I have a complicated relationship with the Libertines. You know, you'd think as a huge British rock fan that I would love them the same as everybody else does. But the truth is, the Libertines for some reason have always bothered me. Ever since they hit the scene in the Brit rock scene in the mid-2000s, they've always really bothered me. And I think that Pete Doherty and Barat have two of the most punchable faces in all of rock and roll music. And I don't know why, but they've always come off as being a little bit obnoxious. And you'd think I would enjoy Obnoxious because my favorite band is Oasis. But Oasis were obnoxious in like an endearing kind of way, whereas the Libertines are obnoxious in a I really want to punch them in the face kind of way. To be fair, I do like some of the Libertines tracks that I've heard over the years, but I've always found them to be a little bit overrated, a little bit overhyped. So I was both intrigued and kind of dreading listening to this new record. And guys, I kind of liked it. I know. What's wrong with me? Do I have a fever or something that only the Libertines can fix? Yeah, I have to say, listening to this new record from the Libertines, All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade, was super enjoyable, and it didn't make me want to punch anybody in the face. But in all seriousness, All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade is an album that is filled with great songwriting and great hooks and great performances from the Libertines. For a band that's been off and on over the last several years, they haven't really been consistent with putting out new music and going on stage over the last number of years. This album is really great, and the band is really gelling together and just putting it all out there. The album kicks off with the song Run, 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 which was very British punk, has an anthemic British chorus, lots of those anthemic British choruses happening on this record. And I think the thing I noticed from the get-go with listening to this record is that the hooks and melodies on this are stronger than I expected. Not that I have a lot of experience listening to full Libertines records, but really just surprised by how catchy and how memorable all these songs are. This has a catchy theme to it. It has a catchy riff to it that just continues throughout the rest of the record. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this record is the cinematic feel for a lot of these songs on this record, very much putting me in a certain mood with the songwriting, with the production. Night of the Hunter was really cool. I felt like I was listening to a song from like an old Western movie or something like that. Same goes for Man with the Melody, had some acoustic guitar on it, reminded me of Arctic Monkeys or like Last Shadow Puppets or some sort of Alex Turner project. You know, it makes sense. Libertines and Arctic Monkeys kind of hit the scene around the same time. I had some really cool strings and piano on it. Like I said, a really cinematic vibe on there, a really great vocal. The only thing with listening to this record is because I'm not super familiar with everything the Libertines have done, I wasn't really sure which songs were Pete and which songs were Carl, so I can't really tell when listening to this album who it was, so forgive me if I get it wrong, but I really enjoyed that song. It sounded like a Tim Burton movie or something. And of course, this is the Libertines we're talking about, so it's a very English album. This album is very English. Like, you even have a song called Merry Old England, and the vocals on this immediately reminded me of Morrissey and the Smiths, which I'm sure were a huge influence on the Libertines and their songwriting. But, you know, it got me thinking, isn't it jolly old England? You know, I've been to England a bunch of times and everybody is really nice, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily merry or jolly. Some of them are just cranky. But this song is very English in a very good way. It has a really cool, moody vibe, like a lot of the tracks on the album. A lot of the songs reminded me of The Coral, which is another like mid-2000s British band that came out around the same time as the Libertines. There's a 60s British pop influence happening on here, and there's nods to British punk music as well. Sex Pistols, The Clash, their influence is definitely felt on this record as well. In addition to the great vocals and the great melodies, instrumentally this album is really strong as well. All four members of the band sound great, with some really fun production bits thrown in to embellish the songs, give them the right feel. Mustang was a standout track for me. I love the bass line on that. Love the falsetto vocals. Vocally, this album is very strong. I got major David Bowie vibes on Mustang. I love the backup vocals on here, and it got me thinking, which song called Mustang is better. Is it the new Libertines song or the new Kings of Leon song? I don't know. It's a toss-up. Oh Shit was a highlight, not just because of its awesome title. Anytime you put a swear word in the title, it's automatically going to be good. But I dig the bass and drums on that song. Love the chorus. I love the kind of the pub vibe a lot of these songs on this record from the Libertines. Like, I can see songs like Oh Shit being sung in pubs across England. If we don't have Oasis to make these anthemic British pub songs, at least we got the Libertines. Shiver was another great song on this record, one of my favorites listening to this, and they really didn't shortchange us with the melody. I'm always hammering that home here on the channel, is that it's all about the melody, and you can tell that the Libertines put a lot of effort into songwriting and melodies on this record. Had a really great chorus. Who knew that the Libertines could be so romantic? I thought they just did a lot of drugs, but they're romantic as well. But as much as I love the new album, I love most of the songs, there are going to be a couple of songs that fall by the wayside, songs that I didn't dig as much. I Have a Friend had a cool guitar riff in it, but wasn't really a standout track for me. The Baron's Claw, which was a cool song title, had another kind of old Western movie kind of vibe to it. Had a very upfront, close vocal courtesy of Carl or Pete, had a very Baroque feel, had some nice touches on it, but the song kind of just grated on my nerves a little bit, despite it having a cool vibe. All in all, the new record from the Libertines, All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade, could be in the running for being one of the best British rock records of the year, and it's only April. I know. I'm surprised to hear myself say that too. But this was a really enjoyable and breezy listen from the Libertines, who really do some fine songwriting on this record. I know people always told me they were great songwriters, but I never believed it. Am I a believer now? Kinda. It's a good record. It only took me 20 years to finally get the Libertines, but I think that's how a lot of people felt or still feel about Oasis. Don't get me wrong, the Libertines are not in the same league as Oasis, but they did make a very fine record, and I found it to be a very enjoyable listen overall. I'm going to give the new album from the Libertines, All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade, a solid 4 out of 5. Wow, it's 2024 and I'm enjoying a Libertines record. I guess anything really is possible. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the new record from the Libertines, All Quiet on the Eastern Esplanade, in the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you liked the video. Make sure to subscribe here on the channel so you don't miss out on future videos talking about rock album reviews, rock albums ranked, all sorts of good stuff talking about rock music. You can follow me on social media across platforms, Instagram, TikTok, X, everywhere at Nick Chino Music. And I'll see you guys again for another review here on the channel. Until then, rock on, everybody.